Hey again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So today in this video, I have put together a list of my 10 favorite cut flower varieties. A little bit of a backstory before I jump into the list. I'm going into my 4th season as a cut flower farmer. I grow in Zone 5A in Northwest Iowa, and I have an urban flower farm located right downtown in my small town. And I have been expanding my varieties and my grow space over the past 4 years. And currently I sell at my local farmers market every week. I take special orders and I have a couple florists that I sell to. And let me tell you, over the course of the last few years, I have learned a lot, and I have definitely learned those tried and true varieties that are easy to grow and work well for me. So those are what I want to share with you today. All right, let's jump right in. The first one on my list, and these are not really in a scale of 1 to 10 order, but the first one on my list is probably one of my top ones, and that is a sunflower. Now, I'm sure sunflower is on everybody's top 10 list. Not only is it very easy to grow, but it's that recognizable focal flower that when people are looking for cut flower bouquets, their eyes go right to sunflowers. Now, here in Zone 5A, I direct seed all of my sunflowers. They're very easy to start just right outside. You can, however, start them inside if you want to get a little bit of a jump start on the growing season. The varieties of sunflowers for cut flowers that I tend to grow are all the Pro Cut series. They're a single stem sunflower and they are pollenless. So when you put them in bouquets, they're not going to get that pollen all over your client's table where they have their bouquet displayed. Now, Pro Cuts are a single stem sunflower, so they're one and done. Once you cut it, that plant is done. So I highly recommend doing succession plantings of sunflowers. I do mine every 2 weeks from the start of the season all the way through mid-July. That way I have a constant supply of sunflowers all the way till my first frost. So the second and third ones on my list are zinnias. Yes, zinnias are taking up 2 spots on my list, and that's because I mainly grow 2 different types of zinnias and they're very different. So I thought, as much as I use these, it gets 2 spots on the list. The first one are the Bennery's Giant series. Now, these come in a variety of colors. You can buy these seeds as a mix, or you can buy them as a single color. Now, I tend to pick the single color varieties because I know exactly which ones I like. For example, last year I grew Carmine and Salmon Rose. They're similar, but I prefer the Salmon Rose, so I only ordered that one this year. Bennery's Giant zinnias have huge bloom heads. They are a really amazing focal flower in bouquets. And like all zinnias, they're cut and come again. So the more you cut them, the more they produce. And I have read that the Bennery's Giant series is more resistant to powdery mildew. So if you live in a humid area like I do in the summer, that really helps. Some of my favorite colors of the Bennery's Giant series, besides the salmon, are the white, gold, deep red, purple, and lilac. Now, the other zinnia variety that made my list is the Queen Lime series. These are a smaller bloom compared to the Bennery's Giant series, and they come in a few variations of colors. I think some places you can buy the mix, but mostly you'll see them sectioned out in the single color varieties. My favorites are the Queen Lime Red, the Queen Lime Peach, and the Queen Lime Orange. They are absolutely beautiful. And last year, I'll put a picture up on the screen, one plant that I got, I don't even know which packet it came from, but one plant looked like a mustard color. So I ended up saving the seed from that specific plant, and I'm hoping to grow that out this year and get more of that similar color range. But the Queen Lime zinnias, you know, have color variations. They have different colored centers. They're just really unique, and they add some really unique tones into the bouquets. And so those I will grow every single year in the cutting garden. The next one on my list are snapdragons. I absolutely love snapdragons and I can never have enough in the garden. A couple of my favorite varieties to grow are the Potomac series and the Costa series. Potomac has to be my favorite just because of the strength of the stems. They are so tall. They grow well outside. They also grow well in my hoop house. But the Costa series tends to be an earlier one, which is nice to get those earlier blooms in the season. Snapdragons are a spike flower, so it adds a different shape into the bouquet, and they come in so many different colors. You can virtually get any color that you are searching for. A couple of my favorites are the Potomac Royal, the Potomac Early Sunrise Mix, and the Potomac Lilac. I actually am going to get started with some of my Snapdragon seeds in a couple days, the ones for the hoop house. So my next video you will see will probably be me starting the Snapdragon seeds, and I'm going to start them 2 different ways. So watch for that video in a day or 2. The next one on my list is Feverfew. Now, Feverfew is a hardy annual, otherwise known as a cool flower. So this is something that you can start early and plant out actually before your average last frost date. In certain zones, Feverfew can also winter over. In fact, it does for me. I have some Feverfew out in the garden that it will be its 3rd growing season. And my favorite variety of the Feverfew is the Magic Single. There are some double varieties and some more yellow varieties, but I just love the classic white petals with the yellow center. They look like miniature daisies, and they could fit into any bouquet all season long. I absolutely love this variety. If you're looking for a filler flower or an accent flower to add in, Feverfew is definitely one to try. The next one on my list is Status. I will forever grow Status. It's very easy to start from seed. It's very easy to grow in the garden, and it blooms constantly all season long. Now, it's a really great filler flower for bouquets, but it also dries really well. So if you're looking for some varieties to dry and save over the winter, Status will dry with pretty much the same color as when it's fresh. Now, I don't love all colors of Status. I actually saw that Nicole from Flower Hair Farm was talking about Status in a recent video, and I 100% agree with her opinion on the colors of Status as well. I find that yellow and the pinks are harder to fit in with the rest of my bouquets, so I tend to plant a lot of the white or silver, the apricot colors, and then the blue and the purple. Those are the ones that I'm strictly planting this year, and I'm going to try and plant more than I ever have because you can never have enough Status. So the next one on my list are tulips. Now, tulips you grow as bulbs, and so they are not one that you can get throughout the entire growing season, but tulips are very important to my business because they are one of the first flowers that bloom in the season, and everyone that time of year is so hungry for flowers. They're so excited to purchase flowers. They can give me some of my best sales for the year. Now, I grow tulips like eggs in a crate or eggs in a carton, and I plant them in the fall, and they pop up in the spring, usually around Mother's Day. Last year, all of my tulips were sold for the Mother's Day holiday, which was amazing. And right now I'm actually experimenting with growing tulips in the winter. I've been growing some hydroponic tulips. I'll put a picture up on the screen, but if this is something that you are interested in to extend your growing season, I highly recommend taking the tulip workshop. I took this last winter, and it was a wealth of knowledge, and I am using their techniques. And actually, I have probably 500 to 600 tulips that I'm going to be selling for Valentine's Day. So really, really exciting. But regardless, tulips are a great seller. There's so many varieties that I like. If I had to name 3 quickly for this video, I would say Orange Princess, Cummins, because it was probably one of my best sellers last year because people had never seen a fringed tulip before. And, oh, let me think of a third. Maybe Drumline. There's so many. I have videos where I go over all of my tulip varieties, but if you have not yet ventured into bulbs, tulips would be an easy one for you to try first. So the next one on my list are dahlias, and I know so many people are fans of dahlias. Growers and also customers, they can pick out the dahlias, and when I say that I'm going to have dahlias at the market, people come for the dahlias. Now dahlias are grown from tubers. I save mine and store them over the winter to plant them out for the next season. The kinds that I tend to gravitate towards for my bouquets tend to be in the 4 to 6 inch range, and I like to grow the ball and the decorative varieties. Now, a couple of my favorites of these would be Linda's Baby, always a favorite. Sylvia, because it is the most productive dahlia that I have ever grown. And probably Joey Morella, because it has such a great shape and color. Dahlias for me grow all the way to the end of the season, so almost till fall. So I like to grow a lot of them that are the fall tones, like oranges and the burgundies. So the next one on my list is a filler, and that is Bulurum. I love the look of Bulurum. Bulurum is a one and done, and so I like to succession plant that throughout the season, just like I do sunflowers. It's a really nice greenery with a tiny little kind of disc at the end with some little yellow flowers, and it really kind of adds a bounce and a sparkle into a bouquet. It's a little tricky to start from seeds, so last year I did order it as plugs, but once you get it growing in the garden, it grows amazing. Now, it does tend to flop over, so if you're growing it, you do want to net it so that you get nice straight stems. But the one thing about Bulurum is if you let some of it go to seed, it will self-seed and come up the next season, so maybe you won't even have to start any. But if you're looking for a different looking filler, Bulurum is an amazing one. Okay, so the last one on my list is actually one that for a couple years I didn't really like, and then now I'm a fan of it again, and that is Gumina. If you have grown Gumina, you know that a little goes a long way. These plants get massive, and so you don't need very many in the garden to get a lot of blooms. Now, for the past couple years, I haven't grown a ton of it, and last year I actually realized that I missed it. So I'm going to grow a lot more this year. I'm going to nix a couple varieties in the garden and replace them with Gumina. They just add that little detail or little pop of color because they're different than any other flower, because they're just a little round circle. And they just add kind of a playfulness into a bouquet. They come in a variety of colors. I like to grow the varieties. They're like the QIS. They have a longer stem versus more of a branching growth habit. And they also dry really well, just like Status. So if you're looking for something that dries really well, Gumina is also a really great one to save for that. All right, you guys, so there's my list of my 10 favorite cut flowers for the season. I'm going to be growing multiple colors of all of these varieties, and I almost am done with my garden plan. I know I've said that in the last 5 videos, but I really am almost done with my garden plan and my grow list for the year. So I will be sharing that with you really soon. Probably breaking it up into a couple videos. I'll probably share my hoop house grow plan and then the outdoor grow plan, just so the videos don't get so long. But I'm really excited to get things started for the season. And like I said, in a couple days, I'm going to be starting my first snapdragon. So I'll make sure to do a video on that. But stay tuned for a lot throughout the rest of the winter and the whole growing season. I just cannot wait till spring, and I'm sure you guys can't either. So stay tuned for a lot coming up. We'll see you soon.